Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into our latest historic weather video from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you another historic weather video for this Easter bank holiday Monday. This is something we do on the bank holidays throughout the year, basically to give me a chance to have a day off. Really, that's the original idea behind it. But these historic videos, you know, they've always been quite popular since we've done them. We only do like 4 or 5 a year through the bank holidays and like on Christmas Day and whatnot. So, yeah, I've got another one for you. And go back to 1960s with this one. Not only for this one, but also for the next 2 bank holidays as well. We're going back to the middle of the 1960s. So for this one, we're looking at 64, 65, and then we'll go on through the rest of 65 and into 66 for the second and the third video. So it's like a trilogy of 1960s historic weather. Good gracious me, I don't know, do you? I should get time for that for you in a moment. Just say that first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. So please like, share, and subscribe on all our videos and content. Thanks so much, everybody, for doing that. I hope you're having a lovely Easter. I hope you're having a lovely Easter Monday. I'm always blown away that people want to spend this time with me and with GavsWeatherVids on their bank holiday. No, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much to Weta for the historic archival charts, and also Trevor Harvey, who has all the information that you're going to hear throughout this video. Thank you so much to resources. As I always say, I'm like the cog in the wheel, just like the narrator of the story, really. But it's the charts with the information from Trevor Hardy that brings it all to life. So thank you so much to Weta, and thank you so much to Trevor as well. Thank you so much to Rich for our amazing historic weather video GIF as well. I love it, Rich. Thank you so much, my friend. Amazing. Right, okay, let's crack on then, shall we, and start off with 1964-65 for episode 1 of our 1960s series. Mrs. P would have enjoyed this. She loved the 60s. She loved the 60s, especially the music. Not necessarily the weather, but she loved the music. Beatles and that. Love, me do. Right, anyway, let's start off and have a look. She's always close, you know, to in my thoughts and heart and whatnot. Right, okay, let's start off. They're going to begin in September of 1964. This is where our story kicks off. So, third day of September, classic September chart, even back in the 60s, you know, had these areas of high pressure over the country, bringing up the wind from the south-southeast. That would look out of place like now, really, wouldn't it, that chart for the first day of September? The most reliable period of the year, I think, for useful dry weather is typically like the first week to 10 days of September, and that is absolutely classic. So Trevor Hardy writes about September 1964, very warm and sunny. This was the last time we had an exceptionally sunny September. I wonder if that's been superseded by recent Septembers, I don't know. More than 150% of the England and Wales average. The CT, I mean, Trevor Hardy says it's very warm. CT is 14.1. No, it's not really that exciting by modern standards, just a little bit, usually just a little bit above average. But yeah, you know, it's a 14 Celsius CT September. Given that last September in 2023, we had a 17 Celsius CT September. I mean, it's a little bit low-key compared to that. But anyway, let's see what happens. So high pressure brings lots of dry and very warm weather through the opening days of the month. Let's have a look at the upper air temperatures, actually. So, yeah, we've got 15 Celsius ice melt, very close to southern parts of England there on the first day of September. It's absolutely classic for a September chart. Now, as we go through the opening week of the month, we see a bit of a weakening of pressure, so no doubt some showery conditions pushing through here. And then low pressure starts heading in, or tries to, off the Atlantic around the 5th of September, before high pressure begins to re-establish from the Azores. But the Azores high, of course, ever present, down to the southwest, bringing lots of dry, fine weather into south, where it's a little bit more unsettled up to the north. But these charts are absolutely classic for like first week, 10 days of September, dominated by high pressure across southern parts of the country. Lots of dry and fine conditions. But high pressure actually strengthens into the second week of the month, heading up to the middle of September now. Now, this is a bit of change. This is 14th September. High pressure has slipped over towards the eastern side of Europe, and low pressure starting to mooch its way from off the Atlantic. So it's much more unsettled by the look of it in the middle part of September, with wet and windy weather and tastes of autumn to come, maybe. Keeping it pretty unsettled into the third week of the month as well, turning cooler with winds swinging round into the north. That brings some proper autumnal air southwards as well. So I've got a very warm start September, certainly a lot cooler and more unsettled here through the middle phase of the month. But high pressure is trying to get back in again into the final week of September. Actually, see the ridge building over to the east, pulling wind back up from the south again. Up goes the 15 south iceberg. Once more in some parts, going to track well, lifting temperatures into the once more into the low 20s Celsius, particularly in more southern and eastern parts of the country. This was a little bit volatile, I have to say. It's 24th of September. The high pressure is moving over towards Germany, Poland, and this low coming off the Atlantic looks a little bit volatile. What do you think? I reckon that could be producing some thunder. There's a big temperature gradient with that, so I won't be surprised if that pushed some thunder across the country there around the 23rd, 24th of September. And then beyond that, we find the high pressure re-establishing again into the closing days of month, being a lot of dry weather with it. That's a setup by the 30th, under high pressure over and to the east of the country, mostly dry and pretty warm with the upper air temperatures again as well down to the south, but have turned cooler up in the north. More autumnal feel, I think, goes about high pressure, probably with some frost and fog. Right, let's, well, certainly some fog, probably not frost, but certainly some fog. Right, let's go through October then. Now, this is a much colder month. This has a temperature of 8.9. Good way to me, but it's really quite cold. Trevor Hardy says it's cool, but fairly dry overall. It was, however, very unsettled from the 5th to the 17th. Let's see how that happens then. So we start off under this area of high pressure left over from September. That sticks around through the opening days of the month, 4th to the 5th. Looking very warm, actually, here. Look at the upper air temperature. You've got 10 Celsius iceberg into the south. No doubt, you know, lots of mist and fog, night and morning. But by day, I imagine there's quite a bit of warm sunshine. This day, the 5th of October, sees the temperature up to 22 degrees, 72 Fahrenheit, recorded in Hertfordshire. But I think that's about the end of it, because as we go through the 6th, then low pressure starts breaking that down, and it begins to turn wet and windy. So Trevor Hardy writes more. There was heavy rain on the 6th. On the 6th of October, and then all of a sudden, you know, the high pressure just disappears within 48 hours. It's completely gone. We've swung from high pressure to low pressure, and this looks very unsettled as we're going on to the 8th night. Now, keep an eye on this little feature here. This is quite interesting, running in along the jet stream from the 8th through to the 9th of October. Develops into this area of low pressure just here, and that actually brings a severe gale to the Channel Islands. So Trevor Hardy writes a severe westerly gale affected the Channel Islands on the afternoon of the 9th of October, just here, as we're looking at it, causing much damage with a top gust of 108 miles per hour. Good gracious me. And an hour average wind gust of 73 miles per hour. Doesn't look that dramatic, does it? But there we go. It really was quite severe down there in the Channel Islands. But pressure fell rapidly at a rate of 6 millibars an hour. Many agricultural greenhouses were destroyed, and the late tomato crop, remember it's in the Channel Islands, so they keep the tomato crop going into October. The late tomato crop was ruined. This was the most severe gale in the area on record until 1987, which also, of course, occurred in October. So wow, very, very stormy, notable weather events, superseded eventually by the events of October 1987, the famous Michael Fish hurricane, but nevertheless very, very wild weather there for the 9th of October. Beyond that, we keep it unsettled as well, further areas of low pressure pushing through and turning cool as well. The jet stream is slipping southward, so this is how So despite being quite warm in the opening days of the month, this is how we actually finish up with quite a cold CT. But jet stream plunges southwards, so the upper air temperature becoming a lot cooler there. Under that trough of low pressure, we pushed all of the warmth away, both south and also to the west under that trough. 13th to the 14th brings another area of low pressure through across the country. Trevor Hardy, right, 67 millimetres of rain along some parts of southeast coast on the 14th of October with 77 millimetres. It said 77 million. That'd be a lot of rain, wouldn't it? 77 millimetres at Dynchurch. And there was even some snow in the south. Goodness gracious me, what's the upper air temperatures doing? They don't look that cold, really, do they? So, I'm not sure how that happened. But, you know, Trevor hardly knows more than me. So anyway, yes, looking pretty chilly and very wet there through the 14th of October. Let's see what happens into the middle part of the month. So that area of low pressure red sits off the East Anglian coast. Again, I'm not sure where the snow would be coming from there, but Trevor Harding, maybe the snow is related to something that's going to happen later on in the month. I'm sure Trevor Harding would know more than me. I think some snow in the south, that's related to what's going to happen later in the month. Let's see. No, we're up to the 17th of October, way well before I was born, though, of course. High pressure reaching up from the Azores and turning things drier once again into the third week month. Very topsy-turvy, isn't it? But we've broken out that unsettled weather and high pressure's in control. Now, look at this. High pressure begins going to retrograde. So this possibly is where the snow in the south is coming from. High pressure pulling out into the Atlantic. Colder northwesterly winds digging in. Ah, yes, here we go. So we've got low pressure plunging down the North Sea. High pressure pulled out into the Atlantic. Winds return into the north. This is our first shot of proper cold air of the season. -5 Celsius firm is plunging south. That will be bringing wintry showers into the north and maybe a little bit even down into the south. Back to milder sort of westerly winds again as high pressure collapses back to France around the 25th. What happens after that? Then high pressure takes over to the east coast. So we end on a mostly dry note, probably with quite a lot of fog. This says to me, remember, we're back in 1960, so Clean Air Act has been passed, but we're still pretty dirty with the air quality. So I reckon this will produce quite a lot of fog here as we go into the closing days of October 1964. So I reckon, let's just go back, I reckon that snow in the south comes from here. This little cold snap just here, 22nd, 23rd. That's where we probably get some wintry showers down into the south. Right, okay, well, let's move on to November then. We shall begin November 1964, again, under an area of high pressure. What Trevor Harding got to say about this one? Has a centering temperature of 7.4, which is a little warmer and drier than average. It was particularly fine and dry in the East, particularly the southeast. Was the driest November since 1938, apparently, at Kew Gardens. Wow. So I think they'll be seeing quite a lot of high pressure. We start the month with high pressure in control, bringing a bit of a northeasterly wind, but not particularly cold. With that, just a large anticyclone, keeping things mostly dry and settled. Again, I would imagine there's quite a lot of fog with this, not sure, but I reckon these sort of slow-moving anticyclones in the middle of the 1960s, where we still have lots of chimneys, you know, lots of industry and whatnot. I reckon that will probably be producing quite a bit of fog, especially for more southern and eastern areas. But that will go, mostly, and probably not too bad, relatively mild by day, because it is overall a mild ridge. Now, we're up to the 11th, 12th of November. High begins to slip southwards. Low pressure starting to re-establish from off the Atlantic, turning wet and windy here as we go into the middle part of the month. So, from all that settled weather to autumnal gales through the middle part of the month. Not sure they're going to last all that long. The high pressure again ridging back up from the Azores once again. So settling down through the third week of the month again. Bit of a chill going on through this month, isn't there? Sort of high pressure keeps trying to reach northwards, low pressure keeps trying to push southwards. Overall, very westerly, very zonal month, very positive AO type month with high pressure in over France, low pressure in over Iceland. Would look out of place in the modern era to be honest. No, just going to show, even back in the 60s, which were, as we know, a famously cold decade for both summers and winters, even then we did have our fair share of zonal, westerly, and not very exciting months. Now, we're going to the end of November, high pressure pulling out to west, and low pressure deepening in the Norwegian Sea. Another little cold snap here right at month's end. This low pressure starting to push southwards. Having colder air with it, the upper air temperature -5 Celsius coming southwards, probably bringing wintry showers into the south and snow showers into the north. And another low pressure here looks like it's about to go on the northwest-southeast alignment. We've been relatively cool or cold air right away as we get to month's end. Okay, well, let's push into the winter then. So this is winter of 1964-65, or how it starts. But low pressure does indeed go on a northwest-southeast alignment and plunges down into France. If you have a look at the upper air temperatures, so chilly, not only cold, chilly upper air temperatures, possibly that will bring some wintry conditions, especially so to more northern regions. Let's see what Trevor Hardy has to say about this one. So it has a central temperature of 3.6, which in the modern era is quite a cold December actually. Back then wouldn't have been anything particularly of note. Generally wet and stormy, so this is going to be a big flip around from November. With flooding in the Lake District and Wales. Let's have a look then. Presumably the jet stream going to start ramping up. So we're beginning this month, and also the winter 64-65 on quite a cold note. Another northerly shot here through the third, further December, bringing my 10 cells iceberg into the north. So very cold air plunging south into the north, bringing snow through there. But winds back into the west here by the 4th, milder air coming in. So that's a classic top plate. Again, that won't look out of place like in the 1990s or in the modern era. Classic little northerly topper cold snap that. So we're back into those milder southwesterly winds again, bathed in mild air from the Atlantic by the 5th of December. Now we're going on further on into the second week of low pressure deepening in the Atlantic. So here we go. This is 8th of December. Deep areas of low pressure northwest of Scotland bring gale force winds and bouts of heavy rain sweeping in from off the Atlantic. I assume this is setting the pattern. 11th of December, another big low to the northwest. Further wet and windy weather pushing through here up to the middle part of the month as well. That gets us to 15th of December, when again we've got areas of low pressure out to our west and also to our south. Not overly storming with that though. And apparently there was much freezing fog on this day, the 15th. But December. The upper air temperatures, not chilly, don't look that cold, but of course, inversion probably taking place, especially so the more southern and east areas where the winds are lighter, and hence we get that layer of freezing fog, which is much more common, much more frequent back in this era. Now, beyond that, high pressure starting to ridge in from the Atlantic. I would say it doesn't look like an overly wet and stormy month up to this point. We did have like a stormy period through the second week, I guess, but doesn't look that bad. Anyway, we're in a high pressure now. 18th of December, high pressure is taking over again. Mostly dry, probably again with more freezing fog, a little bit on the chilly side. Now, as you head towards Christmas, it's going to get colder. Trevor Hardy says it was a cold but sunny Christmas day. Let's see what happens. I reckon this high pressure probably going to go into retrograde and go to Greenland, but we'll see. Bit of an easterly wind here across the south on the 21st of December. That brings some quite cold air in from the east and probably some snow showers across more southern and eastern parts of the country. Here we go. 22nd, 23rd, the high pressure going into retrograde. We love a bit of retrogression at GavsWeatherVids. High pressure going into retrograde, heading up towards Greenland, and it looks like we're about to drop down and northerly to Christmas. There we go, Christmas Eve. Cold front pushing southwards and introducing colder air from the north. -10 Celsius iceberg pushing into Scotland. That's 5 Celsius iceberg down in the south. That will be bringing snow showers into northern and eastern parts of the country. This is Christmas Day, so then the high pressure begins to ridge in from the Atlantic, cutting off the northerly a little bit, but it is a very cold Christmas Day. have got my 10 cells iceberg through the country. So I'd imagine quite a few areas probably had an ice day on that Christmas Day. So, you know, probably wouldn't be all that much snow around, except in the far north and down the east coast. But certainly a very seasonal feel anyway for Christmas Day 1964. And then this area of low pressure starts coming into that cold air on Boxing Day. That's interesting. Now, there is a mild sector of that, but probably cold just bring snow in from the northwest with that area of low plunging southward. So Boxing Day to the 27th of December, I don't know, but Trevor Hyde doesn't really state, but I would assume that low probably brings quite a bit of snow across parts of the country. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments. Well, we go beyond that towards the new year. We've cut off the north, so again, just a cold snap, but timed just nicely, just perfectly for Christmas. So now we're into proper stormy weather here beyond Christmas to New Year. This low really deep in the Atlantic brings severe gales across the country for the no man's land between Christmas and the New Year. That's set up for New Year's Eve 64. Wet, windy and quite stormy. Okay, well, shall we go through to New Year's Day 1965? Why not do that? I tell you what, I'm just going to stick with this one tab. Let's close all of these other tabs down. Just stick with this one. Why not? Why make it complicated? So, this is New Year's Day 1965. The low pressure is pushing over to Scandinavia. A ridge building in the Atlantic. Winds back into the north again. Another little northerly snap. Minus 5 cells iceberg coming southwards into Scotland there on New Year's Day. What does Trevor Hyde have to say about this month? Not a lot. Has a CET of 3.3 and it's slightly colder than average. That's all we have for January 1965. Let's see what happens then. So we start off with a cold snap. Wind back in from the north. Sorry, once again, everybody. Minus 5 cells iceberg through. Catch by 10 cells iceberg is into far north of Scotland. Wintry showers pushing southwards. Snow showers across northern eastern parts of the country. And probably some quite harsh overnight frost as well. The high pressure against toppling though. So another little top the cold snap. Have one over Christmas, one over New Year, but high pressure toppling southwards, cutting off the northerly, mild air side coming around the top of high again. But it's also like a very 1990s winter, I have to say, up to this point. You're probably wondering why I chose to start this series with this winter. You'll find out a little bit later on, because these do start getting more interesting. Maybe these are little teasers. I don't know. You'll find out a little bit later on. Anyway, we're up to the 5th of January. Mild air coming around top of high again. Look at the upper air temperatures, dragging in those milder upper air temperatures from off the Atlantic. That's the 6th to the 7th. High pressure south, low pressure north, looking mild with winds coming from a westerly direction. Now, what happens after that? Well, we get on to the second week of January, increasingly unsettled, deep low pressure in the Atlantic, bringing lots of wet and windy weather in with it. This looks quite stormy, I have to say, by the 13th of January. Gales or severe gales battering the country for that particular area of low just there. So a proper extended spell of wet, windy, stormy, and pretty chilly weather as well. Upper air temperature look cold to the northwest. Classic cold zone down to probably brings bit of snow to the north, lots of cold rain down in the south. The main thing is the wind, I think, through this period. Looks pretty stormy indeed. Another low is pushing through here around the 19th to 20th of January. Now, this one is going on a more southerly track. So below to the west of Ireland there on the 19th. By the 20th, below across northern parts of France. Let's see how the upper air temperatures are with that. So that's the difference to, like, the winter just gone. Because we did get this a little bit in the winter just gone with these areas of low pressure sort of going down from the Atlantic into France and whatnot. But the difference with this winter, of course, that the upper air temperatures are colder than what we get now. So that probably does bring snow across southern parts of the country. Again, Joe Hyde doesn't state that one way or t'other, but I would imagine it probably did. Now, up to 21st and 22nd, more low pressure push through. So this does look like a very unsettled January indeed. But a bit of a change beginning to take place towards the last week of the month. Heights are starting to rise both south and to the east, beginning to block up these areas of low pressure in the Atlantic. So a much more anticyclonic flavour here to weather as we're going into the final week of the month, breaking us out of that unsettled weather. Look at this, 25th of January, high pressure suddenly start pushing northwards again. I wonder if there's some kind of stratospheric event going on here that starts lifting this high pressure northwards. So we're starting to turn into the east. We haven't got much cold air sitting to our east with this winter due to the fact that it's been quite westerly up to this point. But we are starting to pull in colder winds from the east, definitely. So that's the 26th of January. Proper area of high pressure over Scandinavia. Winds coming in from a cold easterly direction. We've got minus 10 Celsius iceberg suddenly appearing to our east. So all of a sudden, there wasn't much cold air to our east, but in this area, it doesn't take much to start getting very cold air. Cold air going on those easy winds. Back to 27, my 10 Celsius iceberg pushing through the country. That would bring snow showers widely across the country. There's some kinks in the ice bars as well. There's some sort of trough here in the North Sea. That will perhaps bring some more general snow in from the east. Who knows? But it does look very cold and wintry in these closing days of January 1965. So this is proper winter biting stuff here with winds in from the east. That's the 29th. So we've got low pressure then down to our south. If that pushes north into cold air, it could threaten a proper old snow event. Doesn't look like it's going to. The high pressure blocking the North Atlantic, fending it off. Still looking cold. We have got wild air encroaching the south though, so maybe this will bring some snow into more southern parts of the country. It's possible that it would have done. By the 31st, last day of the month, high pressure pushing back in from the north, mostly dry then, but still cold with that area of high pressure. Upper air temperature, the coldest of the air beginning to retreat away, but still looking pretty bitter, really. Okay, that takes us through to February 1965, which has a central temperature of 3.1. So gradually getting cold. All three winter months have 3 Celsius CT, which is interesting. 3.6, 3.3, 3.1. February 1965, therefore, is the coldest month of the winter, but not much in it for all three, really. And Trevor Harley with this one is saying it's cold and dull. It was very dry. A great anticyclone from 23rd of January there through to the 27th of February. Oh, right. So this is going to be dominated by high pressure. Let's push through quite quickly there with this. Again, I would imagine that with this high pressure, we're getting not only quite a bit of frost, that's from the upper air temperature, so they're not overly cold, but they're certainly chilly enough for frost and inversion under the high pressure. And again, I would imagine there's quite a bit of fog under this high pressure as well. So cold and frosty and foggy, but also when the sun's out, probably not feeling too bad in the February sunshine. But you see how anticyclonic this month is. Very, very anticyclonic month. By the way, very, very cold across much of northern, central and eastern Europe. So I'm really on the periphery of severe freezing cold weather that's engulfing most parts of Europe, by the way, through this winter. And we have got minus 5 Celsius iceberg there into the country by the 8th of February. So even for us, yeah, it's pretty cold, but the really severe freezing cold, freeze-up weather is over on the other side of the North Sea. And we're being kind of protected, if you like, by that area of high pressure, very much on the periphery, which is where we find ourselves a lot in the modern era, of course. But this last winter just gone, 23, 24, often on the periphery of cold air across Northern Europe. Now, something a bit milder started coming around the top of the high here on the 11th of February, but not for long. We started to pull down some colder air again from the north by the 13th. Have a look at the upper air temperatures again, well and truly within those cold upper air temperatures. Hold on. Well and truly, sorry everybody, well and truly within those cold upper air temperatures. That's Valentine's Day, looking pretty chilly, mostly dry, a few wintry showers probably in the east. Well, actually, this is quite a frosty month, I don't know, but I imagine it would have been. It's a 17, so trying to get wind back into the east again. Then actually bring a little puddle of very cold air in from the east. My 10 Celsius iceberg started trickling in from the east, probably snow showers pushing into the southeastern corner there. That's the 18th. Again, the cold air is starting to sink down into France with that. So always just kind of on the periphery, very, very close to unleashing the beast, but never quite delivering, never quite pulling it off. That's the 19th. Again, a little bit of cold air coming in south, most of the cold air still over on the continent. Wind is in from the east. That's the 20th, still dominated by the area of high pressure. High pressure is retrogressing, going into retrograde a little bit more here as we get through the 22nd. 23rd of February. And Trevor Hardy writes, as the high retreated, a very cold and snowy spell began, persisting into March. And I would imagine this is the beginning of that starting to take shape. The high pressure going into retrogression, moving up towards Greenland and Iceland. And we're turning wind into the east and to the northeast as well. So we've got very cold air, looking at upper air temperature, very, very cold air sitting across Scandinavia, North York. We are in cold air anyway, but some really freezing, severe cold air sitting across northern parts of Europe. And it looks like the pattern is starting to move into one where we might begin to think about putting in those very cold upper air temperatures from the east. That's 25th, 26th of February. Again, the high pressure just easing away a little bit further. Winds going into the north. Again, upper air temperatures looking cold, very cold still across northern parts of Europe. Are we going to drop that in? Let's see what happens. 27th, 28th of February, this trough of low starts plunging southwards. The high pressure is becoming a proper blocking feature up across Greenland. And I reckon we are probably starting to unleash that very cold air from Scandinavia and northern Europe. There we go, by 10 cells ice making it back into Scotland. So incrementally, slowly, day by day by day by day by day, we gradually start setting up a pattern that is conducive to producing a very cold spell of weather. And so that takes us through to March 1965, where we are now well and truly into a really cold pattern. Winds coming in from the east and from the northeast. High pressure blocking around Greenland. Low pressure is across France and Spain. And this will be bringing snow in from the east, of course, on those east winds. Look at the upper air temperatures. We have finally got to the beginning of meteorological spring, and we're unleashing beasts. It's a little bit like 2018, I have to say. Not quite, but a little bit. We're unleashing the beast. Very cold air, 10 Celsius to minus 15 Celsius iceberg coming in from the east on those easterly winds. That will be bringing snow in from the east with it. Let's see what Trevor Hardy's got to say about all of this. So, a month with some very interesting extremes, illustrating March at its most variable. In contrast, and this is really why I started with 64, 65. In contrast to the high maxima at the end of the month, we'll get to that later, a very low temperature of minus 21.7, goodness gracious me, was recorded in the same month at Corwin, which is in Corwin, I think it is, which is in Clwyd, on the 3rd. During a cold and snowy beginning to the month. This is the coldest day of the year, not 1965, and interestingly, an interestingly late date for this. We will have to wait until 2001 for a lower temperature in March. The month began with cold northeasterly winds with some snow. Clearly, you can see where that's going to be coming from, with some snow. It cleared on the night of the 2nd of the 3rd to give some very low minimum. So there we go. You see how the isobars reaching off there is going to the 2nd of March. So that's where that freezing cold night comes from, with temperature going down to like 20s in places under probably quite a bit of snow. Now, we go through to the 3rd. This is quite interesting. This low dropping in to that cold air. Let's go back to the upper air temperature. That's how the upper air temperatures look for the 2nd of March. Bitterly cold upper air temperatures across the country by 10 Celsius iceberg widely through the country. And then into that, it's going to come this area of low pressure into that very cold air. So most of the country still within freezing cold air as that low pressure drops southwards. And Trevor Hardy says there was a notable blizzard in southern England on the 3rd to the 4th. It snowed for almost 24 hours at Heathrow. Goodness gracious me, look at this, how the low pressure pivots around. So that very much focuses the snow across England and Wales, and especially for more southern and western regions. Apparently there are 20 centimetres of level snow on the Hampshire Downs and Salisbury Plain, and 35 centimetres of snow in central Wales. Obviously there was severe traffic disruption. Apparently there was 10 centimetres of snow on the Hampshire coast. There was 60 centimetre snow drifts in the centre of Birmingham, and 15-foot drifts were reported, presumably outlying rural areas. I imagine the hills around where I am in North Hampshire, around the tower. So I'd imagine some big snow drifts around here from this. So this is the most severe spell of the winter by far, with at the start freezing cold air coming in from the east, and then mist low dropping in, bringing heavy snow and even blizzard conditions from the 3rd to the 4th. So the winter really does get going, and it happens very, very late. Again, the upper air temperature looking really cold, despite the area of low pressure dropping in from the Atlantic. Now we're moving on further on into month. High pressure actually collapsing into the country to the 6th of March. The block is beginning to go away, and it's starting. Well, it's still cold, I'd imagine, but we are starting to see some slight mild air just out in the Atlantic. So is the cold spell coming to an end? I think it might be. The high pressure is still sticking around the country, probably producing overnight frost and fog and whatnot. But so we've lost some very cold upper air temperatures, and we've lost the snow possibilities as well. Now, as we go into the second week of month, high pressure begins to move over into Central Europe, and that starts to bring the wind up from the south. And so things begin to change very incrementally. Look at the upper air temperature. If they start lifting up, we'll be thawing out all of that lying snow and frost and whatnot. And we find low pressure trying to head in from off the Atlantic then. So as we get towards the middle part of March, milder, but also more unsettled, back into like a classic westerly pattern. After that very, very cold start to the month, things are reverting back to a much more typical type pattern. This March has a central temperature of 5.2, so despite the really cold start, it's not overly cold. Although 5.2 is quite chilly for March by being modern era, by modern standards. Got high pressure blocking again up to the north here around the 20th, trying to bring cold air southwards, but this low in the Atlantic is also dragging up mild air from southwest. Backlines drawn, so probably some snow again in the northern half of the country actually, with that battle taking place. That's the 21st of March. Again, you see the backlines are drawn across the country. That probably did produce some snow for more central and northern regions anyway. But eventually we're going to see a big flip around into the closing days of the month. So we find low pressure again increasingly coming in from off the Atlantic. The cold air begins retreating away to the north, and then check this out, 26th to the 27th, high pressure starts pushing up from the south. And if you look at the upper air temperatures, much milder air then starts surging northwards from the south. Wake up with plus 10 Celsius isotherm across the Bay of Biscay, plus 5 Celsius isotherm is into the northern half of the country, turning a lot milder with both southwest winds. In fact, not milder, but warmer. So Trevor Harley writes, then to close the equal highest maximum for a March day was set on the 29th. Let's get to that, shall we? Now, high pressure builds up from the south, drags up these very mild or warm upper air temperatures with it. That's the 29th of March. This is the day where we get 25 degrees at Wakefield and Whitby. At Whitby, it was the hottest day of the whole year. This is the earliest date for the hottest day of the year at any location in the country. Wakefield is obviously a place to be in March. Strachan, I think, because it also happened in 1968, I think there. Strachan in Cardinshire, sorry. Don't want to say any of Scots watching. Saw the equal hottest March day until 2012 at 22.2. There are also some interesting extremes within 24 hours during this heat wave. In East Anglia, there was a range of 28 Celsius between frost at daybreak and afternoon maximum. The possibility of such range in such a short time is one of the things that makes this time of year so interesting. So, you know, cold nights, warm days. The strength of the March sun played an important role in this heat wave rather than the source of the air, hence the large diurnal variation. The month had a sunny first half but was very dull from 15th to 21st, with only 2 hours sunshine at Bracknell. It cleared on the 27th, the clouds parted, as pressure built, giving a sunny end to the month with both very high maxima. The range for the month is probably the highest on record, from minus 21.7 at the start of the month to 25 Celsius. A 46.7 degree temperature difference, beating 2019. Goodness gracious me, what a month, what a March. We often think of March as quite a benign month, don't we? Not particularly exciting. A lot of my viewers check out in March, but I would imagine this would have kept us all on our toes. I don't know. Anyway, here's the upper air temperatures will be 29th of March, plus 10 Celsius across the country. And the high pressure is maintained then up to the end of the month. Now, how long have we been going for? Okay, so we've got a little while still to play. Let's push on further through the spring main. So we get through to April, has a central temperature of 8 degrees. That's, you know, not neither here nor there really. Has a warm start and a cold, and then turns cold and unsettled. A thundery, showery month, writes Trevor Harley. So let's see what happens. That high pressure is breaking down here after a mostly dry start, turning more unsettled to this April. Low pressure pushing through from off the Atlantic, bringing plenty of unsettled weather in with it. We push further on, and further unsettled conditions are dominating the weather as well. Apparently on the 12th, there's a series of tornadoes which cause structural damage in East Anglia, probably from a cold front pushing through with that area of low just there. And all in all, looking quite unsettled. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Classic sort of zonal type setup. This is Easter, I think, which Trevor Harling says was a cold, thundery, was an unsettled, cold and thundery Easter. Some snow showers in the north, 17th to the 19th. So, yeah, low pressure in the North Sea, winds in from the northwest. So, looking pretty cold and showery there for this Easter. Upper air temperature bringing minus 5 Celsius into the northern half of the country. That's how you get wintry showers. And then, well, don't bring that minus 5 Celsius but southwards. But certainly quite a chilly Easter anyway. And showering also. And then we push further on through this April, and we keep it unsettled with, again, low pressure. Tends to be on the northwest, southeast of Lytham. So a rather cool and unsettled mixed month, really. Probably not overly wet, but certainly quite a mixed month. That's the last day of the month. High pressure is up to the northeast. And then May of 19... May of 1965 has central temperature of 11.7, mostly changeable with westerlies until the 9th. It then became very warm and sunny. Let's see what happens with that. So low pressure being controlled through the first week of the month. Then I think the Azores High can start making a move. Here it comes. Azores High starts reaching northwards. That turns things drier and also warmer. And by the 12th of May, 1965 got high pressure sitting over and to the east of the country. Yes, very warm air coming up from the south, plus 15 Celsius iceberg. It's actually sitting to the southwest of the country. Many parts of the country have the warmest day of the year on the 13th and the 14th, just here and just here. It was 29 degrees, good great, since the 80s Fahrenheit in London at Camden Square on the 14th, the warmest day of the year. The most recently, this has happened, and the earliest day of the 20th century for the hottest day of the year as well. You know, let's have the upper air temperatures with that. Yeah, you see, you've got the 10 Celsius iceberg through the country, plus 15 Celsius iceberg is around Biscay as well. A very warm spell of weather there around the middle part of the month, breaking down by 15th to 16th. This area of low pressure starts pushing through. And then we find winds swing back into the north again as we go into the sort of final 10 days. So the low pressures coming in from off the Atlantic, being unsettled conditions into the second half of May 1965 here. Going to the closing days of the month, we've got a ridge out to our west, winds pulling in from the northeast. This brings a very chilly day, actually. It was only 8 degrees on the 28th with the big midday temperature, maximum temperature on this day, 28th of May 1965. So after the hot temperatures of the middle part of the month, much cooler as we come to the close of the month. And that's how we end May of 1965 with high pressure out to west and low pressure to the east. Let's very quickly go through the summer, shall we? Why not? So we go into June, which has a central temperature of 4.7. It's about average. That's all Trevor Harding has to say about it. High pressure again, reaching in from the southwest, bringing lots of dry and fine weather here through the opening days of the month. But low pressure's out in the Atlantic, trying to get into a bit of battle going on. High pressure towards Scandinavia, low pressure out in the Atlantic. And all looking rather showery, very slack gradients, so I'd imagine this would be producing showering conditions, probably some wet weather at times. Upper air temperatures look about average, I think, for, for early June. So neither one thing nor, neither one thing nor another, really, as we go through this June. High pressure tries to reach up from the Azores, but never able to form like a proper area of high pressure, at least in the first half month, and always with influences from low pressure out in the Atlantic as well. Middle of June, start to turn more unsettled as low pressure begins to head in from the Atlantic. So an increasingly unsettled look to the weather here for the third week of the month. High pressure again trying to build to ourselves, trying to bring some what is very hot air over on the continent northwards, but the Atlantic is acting as a little bit of a buffer on that. And we are going to see, but this is actually a very cool summer overall. So this second half of June is setting the flavour for what's going to happen, through the remainder of the summer. So that's the 25th of June, well into high summer. Now, reasonably warm in the south, but nothing to get excited about. So certainly not by modern standards. The heat is all to the south, to the east of us, and northern and west regions are actually relatively cool. We get through to the end of June. Now, the Azores high has made a move, so possibly the best spell of dry weather of the summer anyway, with this area of high pressure building up from the Azores. Upper air temperature not particularly exciting, really, but warm enough, and I expect quite pleasant weather really there for a few days in the last week of the month. That's the last day of June, with high pressure still maintained, but something a little bit cooler starting to drift in from the north and from the northeast. And then we get to July of 1965, which is the third coldest of the 20th century, has a central temperature of just 14 degrees. And it's also one of the coldest of the century for Scotland. Dull and wet. Northerly winds at the start of the month brought bright, cold weather. Close to freezing by the 4th in the Midlands. That's overnight temperature, of course. But here's how that happens. The high pressure pulled out to the west. The winds turned into the north. Look at the upper air temperatures. They look pretty cold, pretty chilly for July. So close to freezing with the minimum overnight on the 4th of July. And it's going to get worse from there. If anything, through the 6th to the 7th, this trough develops in the Atlantic and pushes eastwards. That brings heavy rain across the country. Very cool temperatures with the upper air temperatures. That's a cold, wet spell there. 6th to the 7th of July. Winds constantly coming in from a northerly direction as well, you will notice. And, just a very unsettled sort of look to the weather. So I'd say more unsettled mid-month with some heavy rain as the depression moved northeastwards across the country. So let's look at that. Here it comes. Yeah, low pressure, very much in the ascendancy. Doesn't look overly dramatic, but it's an upper level trough that's bringing heavy showers, longer spells of rain as well. Trevor High says 105 millimetres of rain in 48 hours at Painter. The 14th was the warmest day of the month, got 25 degrees. However, 140 millimetres of rain fell in 220 minutes in Waddenbridge, Cornwall. Goodness gracious, that would be a thunderstorm, I would have thought. So that low there, bringing copious amounts of rain throughout 13th, 14th. A little bit quieter through the middle part of the month with this little ridge of high pressure building in here. I don't think that's going to last, though. And the upper air temperatures, by the way, aren't that exciting with that area of high pressure either. And look at this, low pressure then comes back into the 18th, 19th, and that starts to set off the unsettled spell once again. So I'll just run you through some of the stats. Spongy spell from the 19th to the 25th. 29mm rain in 18 minutes at Stansted on the 20th. There was a tornado at Whistling, Surrey on the 21st. Flooding in South Lancashire on the 23rd. There was 45mm rain in Hastings on the 30th as the month continued unsettled and actually ended with some snow in the Cairngorms. It was minus 1.7 at Kyder Castle on the 17th, and minus 0.6 at Newport, Shropshire on the 31st. So let's run through these final charts, all looking very unsettled. Low pressure, low pressure, low pressure. Very cool temperatures as well. Winds constantly coming in from a northwesterly, northerly direction. That's the main thing I noticed about this, but constant sort of northwesterly, northerly influence. Barely a hint of a southerly. Anything of a southerlies we get in July now, but you know, the heat spikes of that from North Africa, no hint of that whatsoever. This is, if you don't like hot Julys, this is your month. And there's quite a few that you know, don't like it hot. My mum didn't, Mrs. Bean didn't. She would have loved this month, I bet, back in the 1960s when she was working for Avon Cosmetics in Northampton. Not as an Avon lady, she was on the packing side, you know, in the factory. That's how we end up. I'm sorry, we're on a tangent. That's how we end up with July 65. Get looking cool and showy. Let's just go through August before we finish. Really at the end now. So this was another very cool month, not quite as bad as July, but also only has a central temperature of 14.6. So 2 back-to-back Julys and August in the 14th. That is absolutely terrible. Absolutely atrocious. Trevor Harley says it was cool, showery, and windy, you know, just very unsettled month. So, double low pressure pushing through here in the opening days of the month. Upper air temps look pretty poor with that, and this light will be bringing lots of heavy rain as well. So, sorry, everybody, try to pull up something a bit warmer there on the 4th. I tried to get some warmer air going on the 4th. Apparently it reaches 27 degrees on the 12th and the 13th. I mean, can you imagine that? If we had a summer but only got to like 25 to 27. I don't know, do you? Anyway, yes, so we're at the chart for, well, actually a bit of a ridge is starting to build here around the 8th to the 9th. So this presumably is how that warmer, well, say warmer, not particularly warmer, but, you know, slightly warmer conditions start to take place. This high pressure builds over to the east of the country, start to pull in more of the southeast. Now, that was in the modern era. You know, that got some quite hot air over France with the plus 20 cells ice firm there into France and, you know, down to Spain, Portugal. That was in the modern era. We'd just waft that up, you know, within 24 hours, wouldn't we? And we get the temperatures into the 40s Celsius. But we still lift the temperature to 27 degrees, apparently. But then the low pressure starts coming back in from off the Atlantic and sort of stops that. But slightly more settled and slightly warmer look to the weather through this middle part of August, 65. Before the low pressure start deepening in the Atlantic again, and by the 21st, we're back under the cosh of the areas of low pressure, bringing more really unsettled and cool weather in with them as well. We're coming towards the end of the month and the end of the summer. You can call it a summer, still looking very unsettled with low pressure punching through right way through to closing days. This is the first, apparently this is the first late August bank holiday. So before this, the August bank holidays for England, Wales anyway, tended to be the first weekend of August. We got shifted to the final weekend of August, and apparently this first one, you know, sets the scene for the rest of them, probably being rather cool and showery, and that's a setup for the very last day of the month, 31st of August, last day of the month, and also the last day of meteorological summer, and winds in from the north as they have been throughout so much of this summer. Upper air temperatures looking cool and probably quite showery, especially so in the north and in the east too. Right, well, what do you make of that, everybody. That was all right, wasn't it? Interesting little video. That one, nice little historic weather video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And show everybody for doing that. We will pick up the story in the second historic video, which will be, of course, for the early May bank holiday Monday, the date of which I don't know what that will be, as ever, but the first Monday of May is when we will pick this up again, and for that one we will be going through 1965-1966, so through the autumn of 65, winter 65-66, and into the spring of 1966. So that will be coming up for you with your early May bank holiday Monday, and then the final part of this will look at the rest of 1966. Okay, so there was quite a serious tragedy that took place towards the end of 1966, and we'll cover that in the third video. Or the third episode, I suppose, of this series. Now, if you enjoyed this, thank you to Richard for our gift. Thank you so much, Rich. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. Wonderful. If you enjoyed this historic weather video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Share it across social media platforms and whatnot. Maybe it will bring back some memories. You know, I hope it does. And we're going to be back to normal on the channel tomorrow. So I have a 6 AM UK weather forecast. There'll be the European outlooks, and there'll be a 10 to 14 day for you tomorrow as well. You enjoy the rest of your Easter Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending this time with me on this Easter Monday. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Easter. And for this video, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.